The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Portland, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31695. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting on the front bumper area, above and in the front, you'll find 2 forward-facing and 2 lower-facing closed tow hooks. Moving over to the passenger side, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Located on the right and left side of the bumper, you'll find your air horns. Directly in the center, you'll find your mechanical siren mounted on the face, and as we move up onto the body, you'll find a right and left LED turn signals. Up to the headlight cluster, low beam is on the outer edge, high beam is on the inside. Moving up, you'll find red and blue forward-facing emergency lights, and then also a grab handle on the right and left side. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move further up onto the brow of the vehicle, you'll find 5 running lights. Located 2 forward-facing floodlights on the front of the brow, and then all the way up onto the very top, you'll find your emergency light bar and also your Opticom. Just above the Opticom, near the center of the apparatus, you'll find your adjustable go light. It is multi-directional. And on the sides of the apparatus, you'll find 2 side-facing and also at a 45-degree angle floodlights. Here's a couple images, close-ups of what we just talked about. Let's now move to the step area of the cab, and this is going to be your marker light. As we look into the cab where the step is located, you'll find your access point to plug in your tilt cab function for your remote control. You'll also find your air inlet and outlet, and then also the air shutoff valve. Moving up onto the window itself, this is going to be on the driver's side. You'll find your DC amps. When plugged into shore power at the rear of the apparatus, that light will indicate that it's plugged in. Underneath, you'll find 2 valves. First, your foam pump discharge drain and also your foam pump intake drain. Moving up to the top in the midsection of your apparatus, you're going to find your pump intake. Moving to the right, you'll find your pump discharge. Located in the center, you'll find the vacuum and pressure test ports. Let's move now to the pump panel itself. Underneath the crosslays, you'll find that they're color-coded and individually labeled. For example, the front 1 3/4 crosslay, foam capable in red, the 1 3/4 in green in the center, and then the 2.5-inch crosslay. All color-coded and also labeled. This is going to be your minimum maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. You can see on the right it indicates at 150, 1434 for the RPMs. You should obtain a 1509 pressure. General view here of the side of the pump panel, and you can see that everything is individually labeled. In addition, with color coded, you'll also find the pressure gauge located just above the actual pull location for your discharges. Let's go ahead and break down some of those items now. First, let's start with a warning label regarding entanglement. Because of those hoses coming off in the crosslay, there is the likelihood for entanglement. I'd also like to point out for your Husky 3 foam system, this is the foam system instructions. Just underneath that, you'll find an audible alarm. This is a speaker system that can be dampered. This is your FRC pump boss. I would like to point out in the upper left, you have a check engine. There is also a digital readout here for the RPMs of your engine. And then on the right-hand side, if lit, it will be in red. This is a stop engine. As we move down in the rest of this modular,
you'll find your menu button where you can select through the various menu functions. You'll also find oil pressure. You're going to find water temperature, battery indications. All of your diagnostic information, engine information will be located here. To the right, you'll find a sirens for that audible sound, and then you'll find the selection between pressure or RPM mode, a digital readout for the information that's being displayed. Once your pump is properly engaged, you'll find a throttle ready green indicator light, and then just beneath that you have presets which are available for programming. And then at the very bottom you'll find your wheel, which is for increase or decreasing the throttle, and then in the center you can push to go to the idle position. Let's move to the right, talk a little bit about the Husky Foam System. This is for your Husky Foam System 3. First, in the upper left-hand corner is the system on and off switch. You'll also find a digital readout for your foam percentage. In the two gray areas, you'll find increase or decrease. And at the very top, you'll find the operating instructions. There's also the yellow prime. And then on the far right, you'll find the two LED lights here for your system status. And that will give you information here regarding whether your system is on, valve position errors, priming system, injection foam, low tank levels, or refill the tank. This is once again for that minimum operation schedule. This is information here on how often you should do it and what you're looking for. Located in the center, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. We'll talk a little bit about what's behind this pan style door here in just a moment. Just inside that pan door, you'll find your pressure relief valve. I do not have the information as to what it's set for, but it is a max operating pressure of 250. You'll also find in the lower pan door your operation here regarding foam operations. Horizontal is for operation and vertical is for filling. In the upper right-hand corner, you're also going to find your foam drain. This is going to be your Watrous placard regarding the type of pump and also the capacity, in addition with the ratio of 2.46, and then also an indication here, warning for foam failure and not to mix brands and types. On the door, you'll find always a pressurized warning label and always a fall hazard label. Please seek the advice of those and also your owner's manual. Here's a close-up of that Watrous pump. This is your pump type that you have. I would like to point out on the far left-hand side, this is a warning label that only trained personnel should operate this equipment and have read the owner's manual. You'll also find on the cab rear, this is your driver's front floodlight. This is the light here that I'm referring to, and it will telescope up with the adjustment knob. As we look to the rear section, you'll find a through compartment here. This is for backboard storage. And then as we look to the very top in the dunnage area, you'll find your aerial master stream device. This is so that you have control aloft where you can turn it on and off. There's also some safety pins here, which can be removed. And you can see also the safety pins and a warning label at the very top for the different degrees when it is mounted on the ground. This is the valve here indicating open and closed. As we look to the top, I would like to point out there is a no step in this area that's indicating just for that specific area. You will find your foam hydraulic reservoir. There are instructions on the side of that. Sometimes a little difficult to see, but this is for your hydraulic oil only. As we move to the reel itself, there is a manual rewind location. This is the key location for insert. And then there's also a tensioning for when you choose to either spool out or in on that reel. You'll find in the dunnage area your foam B fill location and also a warning label here regarding not to mix those types of foams or the consistencies or brand. And then you'll also find your water fill location for the top. As we move up to the top, you'll also find your equipment rack, which houses your 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, a 10-foot attic, and also some pike poles. Your vehicle is also equipped with an air recirculating system, which allows fresh air to be moved through the compartments. Your compartments also have LED lighting and adjustable shelving. Let's take a look at some of the other functions in this area. First, you have SCBA bottle storage locations with safety straps. Moving to the rear of the apparatus, just behind the rear tires where you'll find your DEF and also your diesel fill location. The silver cap is your diesel and the blue cap is your DEF. DEF is 4.5 US gallons. As we look to the rear, you'll find an additional outlet here. This is when plugged into shore power for charging your electric fan. The rear of your apparatus, you'll find underneath LED lighting. Moving up from that location on the very edge of the bumper, you'll find perimeter lighting and also running lights. Moving to the left, you'll find your cluster of brake, turn, reverse, and an emergency light. You'll also find a cluster of 3 switches. We'll talk about some of those in the next set of images. This is where your shore power plugs in. There is an indicator light when plugged into shore power that will illuminate. You also have 110 power to the rear of the apparatus and also a push button for communications for your operator. Moving up further, you have 2 rear-facing floodlights. Moving down to the very bottom, I'd like to point out some safety labels here regarding warning pressurized caps, associated hazards with those, and also writing on the rear of the apparatus, which is not advised. You do have some discharges here. On the far left, there is an 1 3/4 and also a 2.5-inch discharge. On the right-hand side, you have the same configuration, except there is an inlet. Located in the center, you'll find your backup or reverse camera. Located up at the top of the hose bed is your traffic advisor. This is going to be your rear inlet, and then to the right, you'll find a discharge. Here's some close-ups of those lights that we talked about. You have an air suspension dump and also a rear deck lights and also your rear scene lights. Moving up to where your vehicle plugs in for shoreline inlet, you'll find this is a 20 amp shoreline inlet, and you also have a 15 amp plug for shoreline power. This is going to be your warning buzzer. 1 push is for stop, 2 for go, and 3 for back up. We look to the inside edge, we'll find the rear driver's side 1 3/4 and then also the 2.5. This is the 2.5-inch officer rear inlet and also a valve, in addition with the 1 3/4. You have an adjustable hose bed, and at the very top you can see your traffic advisor. Close up here of your reverse camera, it is protected. And as we look inside the compartment, you'll find adequate space here. Once again, LED lighting with inside this area. As we look to the rear of the apparatus, you'll find at the very top your emergency lights. You'll also find side-facing floodlights and also rear-facing floodlights controlled from within inside the cab and the rear. There's also side-facing emergency warning lights indicated here. As we look to the very top, this is a close-up of your ladder rack. This is the mechanism which allows the release of that ladder rack to move in the downward position. Located once again inside the compartments, adjustable shelving, LED lighting. You also have bottle storage with straps on the outside. This is your equipment rack hydraulic reservoir. And once again, in front of the rear wheel, you'll find 3 additional bottle storage locations with straps. Slightly different, the opposite side has the tool board. This has an adjustable shelf. As we look to the center in the upper right-hand corner, this is going to be the timer for your fresh air system for recirculating air within the compartments. This is adjustable and can go on and off by just simply adjusting the timing wheel. Once again, we're at the side of the apparatus. There is an entanglement warning here. Also, there is a pressurized cap warning label and also a fall indication for riding on the side of the apparatus where it is not advised. Let's go through some of the items here. I'll move through these very quickly. First, we'll start with the 2.5-inch crosslay and also the 1 3/4. This is also the powered equipment rack. On the left-hand side, this is an audible alarm. You can damper that, and then you have your on and off and your lift. This is to gain access behind the pump panel. As we move further down from this, you'll find your master discharge, or I should say large diameter discharge, and your master intake, which is uncapped on the left-hand side. This is your hose reel master and also a power module. You'll find your associated color-coded and labeled drains. These are twist, not pull. As we move to the center, you'll find your officer side auxiliary inlet, and then all the associated drains onto the left-hand side, in addition with a foam outlet. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab of your apparatus. We'll start with the rear section. You can see in the center is a quick access point for oil and transmission. As we look to the rear, you'll find an SCBA seat on the driver's side and a fold-down seat on the left-hand side. In between the two, you'll find a compartment with LED lighting and also shelving. Overhead, you'll find control for the Duralman lights. There are 3 of them. Controls are on the passenger and driver side and also located in the center. Directly behind the seat is where you'll find your shore power charger and also access to outlets when plugged into shore power. You can see this one is labeled for the battery charger and also your engine heater. Those can be unplugged if needed. This is a quick image with the access point for your transmission fluid and also engine oil. As we look to the driver's and passenger seat, at all points of entry at all doors, you'll find these warning labels regarding the use of seat belts. Your vehicle is equipped with a SRS airbag system, supplemental restraint. That's where the location is here. There is also a warning label not to block this area. On the right hand side, about knee height, this is the fill location for your windshield wipers. And at the very bottom foot level, this is going to be your mechanical siren foot pedal. Let's move to the seat itself. There are comfort controls underneath the base of the seat in the very center. And as we look to the dash area, you'll find 2 USB style 12-volt access points. You'll also find the Go Light control for on and off and also a control function switch. Overhead of the officer, you'll find your PA system siren and also PA system speaker system. Moving just to the left of this location, you'll find an alarm silence and a siren brake and then future switch locations. In the center, you'll find a do not move this apparatus light if lit. It's indicating you have a door or a compartment open. There are also driver alley lights, driver scene lights, front scene lights, rear scene lights, officer scene lights, and officer alley lights, individually controlled from the officer side. Let's now move to the driver's area, first point of entry, so you're going to have those warning labels here. As we move down to the lower corner, you'll find additional warning and caution, and then you'll also find this yellow placard, which is your placard from Pierce, manufactured for Portland Fire. Let's go over that now. First, starting in the upper left, you have your date of manufacture, job number, and also your gross vehicle weight rating. In addition, with tire and cold tire inflation, it also has your VIN number, and then just beneath that, it has all of the components for your fluid capacities and types. The VIN number is also located on the A-pillar driver's side. And as we move through the cab, let's talk about some of the components here. In the center, you'll find your locking mechanism for locking the door. And then as we look to the base, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal. And then let's go ahead and look just to the right where you'll find your brake treadle and accelerator. And then we'll move up from that location here to some switches. First in silver, your master battery switch. Moving to the right, your tech module, engine, transmission, and ABS ports. And then just beneath that, you'll find switches which are for ABS diagnostics, DPF, regen, engine diagnostic, which is a indicator, and also your engine inhibit. This is going to be your pump module here to shift into from pump to road or from road to pump. This is a 3-position air actuated switch. There is also 2 indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. If properly set, those 2 indicators will illuminate. On the opposite side, you'll find a mirror heat and a traction control disable. And also on the dash, you'll find the main mirror and convex mirror controls. Let's move to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You'll find a wait to start once your ignition is switched on. You'll find your ignition switch and then a start switch. Moving to the right, you'll find this small EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. And you also have your headlights and parking lights, and then also your panel rocker switch, which is brighten or dimming the panel lights. Let's go over to the right of the steering column. You'll find your OK to engage the high idle indicator and then the switch. And on the dash, you'll find on the left your transmission temperature, oil pressure, your DEF level, your water temperature, On the left, you'll find your RPMs or tachometer, and to the right, you'll find your speedometer. Moving further to the right, you'll find volts, your fuel level, front air and rear air, and then located in the center, above and below the speedometer, you'll find additional diagnostic information. Let's move to the right in the dash area. First, you'll find your command zone. Just from that, you're going to move down. There's a set of switches, and we'll cover those in the next set of images. Your Pierce command zone has a tremendous amount of information at your fingertips. Please familiarize yourself with this. On the right, you'll have your wiper push for fluid and then the control modules. You have an engine brake on and off switch, a setting switch for low, medium, or high, auto start, air suspension dump, which can also be done at the rear, and then your air horn. The yellow triangle is going to be your pull to apply your system parking brakes or push to release. Your Allison transmission pad, which is a push button. It also has a digital readout for what gear position you are in, and then also an indicator plaque here to pump in drive. Moving to the right, you'll find your climate control and also some caution information here regarding your retarder. Overhead, you'll find this placard, which is provided to you by Pierce when it came off the assembly line. This is a height of 9 feet 10 inches, your length 30 feet 7.25 inches, a gross vehicle weight rating of 43,500 pounds. If you make any changes to these, please change this placard. Let's look slightly to the right. You're going to find your emergency master, load manager, perimeter lights, siren brake, fog lights, and then emergency light dimmer. Each of these switches, when actuated, will indicate they are on by the indication light of that switch. Moving to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor. Overhead, you'll find 2 pull ropes. This is for your air horn. Here's a view looking to the very rear of the apparatus, showing the SCBA seat on the driver's side, fold down seat on the passenger side. There are also 2 additional SCBA seats located on the right and left side. This is going to be the control module for raise or lower the cab, where it plugs in on the driver's side. Overhead, you have some push on and off red and white lights, in addition with those individually controlled Durolumen lights. Air conditioning unit overhead. Also located in the center, just above the Pierce control module, you'll find a low air alarm and also an indicator. Congratulations, Portland Fire, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31695. If you have any questions regarding this video or any information that is needed, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.